Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and I'm here with something that is definitely different. This is a little outside my wheelhouse, but it's neat to be able to actually try a little something new for a change. This is by Phalanx Games. It's called A Bridge Too Far, and this is what we call it, a book game, paragraph-based book game. So it's a war game-esque, a war game RPG-esque book style game. Now, Phalanx did send this to me. They sent me a few of their newer games that have just been released, and I'm going over reviewing all of them. So the first one I'm jumping on is this game, A Bridge Too Far, in which you are playing as a Polish soldier during Operation Market Garden, and just seeing everything that happens during that whole conflict from a single person's perspective. But everyone but you is real people. Right? And there's I think like one or two fictional characters, but for the majority, everyone was a real person, real things, real stuff that happened in that game, which I find truly unique. But I was trying to decide, how am I going to review this? Because I think one of the ways to review it is spoiling it. And I kept batting myself back and forth. Do I show the game in action? And I decided against it. And I hope you guys will forgive me for that. But I don't want to spoil it, because a game like this, part of it is the mystery. And even if I show you just the first little bit, I'm still spoiling some of it. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to spoil it for someone who does try to play it later, because even if to show a good chunk of the game would require me going down the path long enough to reveal what the choices are. And I don't want to do that. I want that to remain a mystery for you guys. So I decided that I was not going to spoil it. The review was just going to be me talking about it. Now, I hope you guys can, like I said, forgive me for that. And Phalanx doesn't hold it against me, but I wanted to respect the material. I do believe a lot of work, a lot of time and effort went into crafting this book game. And I want it to remain a surprise for the readers who do go on to try it later. Now, usually when I start a review, I go with components. There's only one. It's just a book. That's it. Hardbound book, nicely bound. The type is, and again, I can't show you because I don't want to spoil anything. The type is nice. It's big enough to read without needing glasses. There's maps at the front and back of it. There is also a character sheet that you can easily scan and print out. That way you can have it off to the side with your character and your inventory and all that stuff. And the first few pages are the rules explaining how you play the game, but it's not difficult by any means. It only takes a couple of pages to learn the rules for this game. So component wise, it's literally just single component, and it does have a couple of bookmarks in it, which is appreciated. It's the little ribbons that you see hanging from it. That way you can mark more than one page if you need to when you're playing the game. Now, that's not all you need, though. You do need dice, and I would recommend having a sheet off to the side to write on. Whether or not you scan the one in the book, I did go to BGG to see if there's like a standard PDF you could print off, and I did not see one. But like I said, there is one in the book, so it's easy enough to scan it and print it off to have that. But at a minimum, I would say you need a handful of D6s and a pen, pencil, and a piece of paper to write on as total components for the game, but you're going to have to supply that stuff. However, we are in the age of technology, so you can just use your phone. Say you're out, you don't want to carry dice or a pen or anything like that. The Notes app on your phone and a dice rolling app would more than cover everything you need. So either your phone, tablet, or the hand materials themselves, being dice and paper and the like, are what you're going to need for this, because you are going to have to keep track of some stuff like your inventory as you play through the game. So how do you play the game? Well, there's not too much that you have to actually keep track of. You have your character, and I'm going to butcher his name. I'm going to try to remember this. Marek Zadrozny. Yeah, Marek Zadrozny. Yeah, Zadrozny. That's it. He, like I said, he's Polish, so he's got a Polish name. So you got your character, and he's going to have 3 types of stats, right? So you got body, you got mind, and you've got will. And each of those are like you're controlling your character. body, your physicality, mind, your intelligence, your perception, and your will is just that gut check moment to stay in the fight, your morale. Now, when it comes to those stats, it's only low numbers you have to keep track of. You only get 6 points to allocate between those three things, but they took away the standard that pretty much I think everyone would do. And I kind of hated it at first, but I kind of see why they chose this, in that you can't go 2, 2, and 2. That's what everyone would do. That's immediately what I was thinking. I'll do 2, 2, 2. It'll be fine. Can't do that. You have to pick one stat to be higher. So effectively, you have to go 3, 2, 1. So you could do body at 3, mind at 2, will at 1, or however you want to set that up. But you can't be even across the board. The stats have to be different. You also have life points, and you have 8 life points that stay pretty well steady. There are ways that you can recover life points, and obviously ways you lose life points through combat and the like. But that's like your total. And that can change throughout the game if you are part of like a unit action. So if you're not just acting as your individual self and you're part of a unit, a platoon or squad that's conducting a fight, you might have a situation where it's like your unit has 10 points or 12 points, something to that example. So those will be the life points that you concern yourself with, but you're still using your same stats. Your stats will reflect how that unit is going to perform in that action, whatever's going on. Now, those stats will tell you effectively how many dice that you're going to roll. So let's just say that you had a mind test, something that happened that was concerning your mind, and your mind stat was 2, and the test difficulty was a 4. What you would do is roll 2d6, 1 die for each stat point you have, and for each die roll that was equal to or higher, you gain a success. It's literally that simple. Whatever your stat is how many dice you roll, and it'll tell you the difficulty number that you're looking for, and that's just for normal challenges. There is also combat in the game, which is handled similar, but a little bit different, in that you're still using whatever stat. So if you're in hand-to-hand combat, you're going to be using your body, or if you're in range combat, you're going to be using your mind. That's like your perception, your aim. You're still rolling X amount of dice and looking for those successes. The opponent will have whatever difficulty. You have to have at least one success to win the fight in that moment. Depending on the weapon that you're using, it might have a modifier. So if you're using a dagger, it might say ×2. So you will double whatever amount of successes you get, and that's how many damage points you do. So let's say you get 2 successes with a dagger that does ×2, you get 4 damage points against the enemy, and you'll keep going back and forth in your combat until either you die or they die. You take damage whenever you gain no successes, and they take damage whenever you have successes, times that multiplier. It will be ×1 if you don't have a weapon, depending on if you're doing ranged or hand-to-hand combat. Again, it's going to determine what stat you're using and the multiplier. But there is also ammo involved if you're using a ranged weapon. If you do have a shot that you take where you miss, so you gain no successes, then you lose ammo points. Obviously, as you go through the game, there will be times where you will gain more ammo points, and you'll denote that down on your little sheet. And you're like, okay, well, what happens if you're outnumbered? Or maybe you outnumber the enemy? Well, that's accounted for here in this game as well. If you have numerical superiority or you're inferiority, you're outnumbered, right? If you're outnumbered, you basically gain negative modifiers. So you either remove dice or have a negative die roll modifier, or you gain a positive die roll modifier if there's multiple of you against like a single opponent. Besides that, you also have something that is called morale points. It's associated with your will stat, and that means you get however many morale points is equal to your will +2. So if your will stat is a 1, then you have 3 morale points, and you can use those to have like one-off bonuses, a reroll or a positive modifier for a single die. But that is a very rare resource, so you have to choose specifically. Like, be really smart about it when you're going to use those morale points. Occasionally you can get more morale points, but it's not going to be often. So you have to keep track of those and make sure you use them only in the most dire of circumstances. You also have time units that you keep track of, and that kind of just helps keep track of how time passes throughout the course of your character's adventures. So when it comes to the game, that's pretty much it. I've given you the high level view of the rules, but that's all you've really got to keep track of. Like I said, it's only a couple of pages of rules that you have to really worry about. With this, it's really more of the story. And like I said, I really don't want to spoil the story for you, so I don't want to give the examples specifically, but even there at the beginning, you're starting off with like this very specific choice, and you're like, oh damn, I want to do both. What do I do? And it's going to be like that as you progress through the game. You're going to have these really dynamic choices that you have to make. Do I do this? Do I do this? And there's going to be a big associated risk with it. I mean, I can't spoil it for you. Let's just say the choices are difficult, right? You're putting yourself in the story. You're reading this from the first person, right? This is you. You're in it. You're doing this. You're making these choices. And you're kind of thinking, like, what would I do if I were in those choices? And I really like that because it kind of gets you invested into the game. Now, here's the thing about it, though. The stories are neat. The way things play out, keeping track of your points and all that, it's all easy on how the game plays. It's not difficult by any means. I think the big detraction from this one is just going to be the replay value. And you see that in other games of its ilk that have some storytelling element to them where you have to make choices. And a good example would be the Cartaventura games, right? These small little deck card games where you're making choices, you're playing through, and the deck is held in a very specific order, similar to a book. And depending on what choices you make, you're going to go to certain cards. It's same in the book. Now, you can think of it as a branching tree path, right? So you start at the trunk and then you branch out. But the detraction from that is there's only so many branches. With this being a book, you can't change it. It's printed. It is what it is. So the replay value is really going to be the negative on this, but it's not that it has none. So this isn't you play it once and you're done. Right? There is more replay to this game than one. There's more replay to it than two. There's multiple paths to this game. And even if you get killed off, you can go down the same path and just continue on, see what's further on in the story. And like I said, there's multiple branching paths. So I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. There will come a point where there is no more replay. There is no more value to playing through the game because you've seen everything that can happen, or most every single thing that can happen. And I'm not holding that against it. I think that there is a place in any genre, any art form, for something that has a finality to it, right? Everything doesn't have to have infinite replay value. Something that tells a good story and gets you invested into it where you get that outcome, whether it's good or bad, does have its place. Just understand that obviously with this being a book game, it's not something that you're going to be able to play a vast amount of times. I would say, and I'm guessing just from the part, I have not played every single branch out, but you're not going to have, up-teen playthroughs of this, 4, 5, 6. You're probably going to see most everything that the game's got to offer at that point. The only other thing is cost, and the cost of this one is 22 euros. Euros? Which one is it? Euros? I'm not sure. Say about $25. I'm not sure exactly what the conversion rate is, but I think it's about $25 or so, $26. I think it's about $5 too much. I would have liked to have seen it at that $19.99 price range. I think that would have been a better fit for it, but they're only a few dollars more than I would, put it down for, so they're not overshooting it by a lot. It's not like they're selling it for like $40 or anything like that. So I would say that the cost is fair, especially considering that the book itself is actually very well done. Nice binding. Like I said, it's hardbound, not softbound. It's got built-in bookmarks for it. It's got the actual stuff that you would need. The character sheet is there so you can scan it off. I mean, hell, you could write on the book if you wanted to, but I wouldn't suggest it. And hell, even if you don't want to use your phone or actual dice, the pages have dice on them. So if push came to shove, you can randomly go to a page and there's a die at the bottom right, which is effectively your die roll. So they even thought about that you might not have dice with you, and they kind of turn the pages into dice in and of themselves. And not to be too crass about it, but this is actually coming into my rating for it. This has actually become one of the bathroom readers for me. So, everyone's got their magazines or books they keep in the bathroom. This one's right there for me now. And I've got my little sheet next to it. And I'll go in there, sitting there doing my thing. And I'm, okay, let's see what's going on with my character today. What's Merrick up to? And I start reading through the book and playing it out. So my ultimate rating for A Bridge Too Far is going to be 1 good bathroom reader out of 10. All right, that's it for me. You guys take care. I'll catch you in the next one.